Hi everybody, the Manmatha here, and thanks for joining me again on my journey through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. If you're watching this, you probably know the deal by now, but I have a format, so let's stick to it. I'm rereading every single story on my favorites list on fanfiction.net in order of publication date, from oldest to newest, and seeing which ones still deserve to, let's lower it a little bit, yeah, and seeing which ones still deserve to be on my list. I've been doing this for over a year now, and read over 250 stories, and probably got another 4 years to go. Oh boy, but yeah, let's jump in with The Substitute by BajaB. This is a Harry Potter story, which is it's a tale of the Triwizard Tournament, but something huge happens right at the beginning, which changes how everybody sees everything. I enjoyed this a lot. There's no huge action scenes aside. There's one action scene at the end, but honestly, it's more a drama piece. But even that, there's not a lot of huge dramatic moments in it. It's very much just small character beats, which I liked a lot, and the writing was phenomenal, and it really drew me into Harry's struggles. That's what made this good. It's just the writing connected me with the character on a very, very deep level, and it made me really invested in this story. The supporting cast and members are really great as well, but this is really Harry's story, and it's super, super well done, and it ends pretty sadly, and I've said before, I think some sadness is good in life. I love the story a lot. It's not that long. You should definitely check it out, and it's gonna stay on my list. More Harry Potter now with Reunion by Rorschach's Blot. I've said Rorschach's Blot. He's on my list a lot. I love him. I love his stories. This is another humor story that he does where it's time travel. Where the difference is there's a couple things that are automatic separate. One, it's a group time travel story. It's not just one person. Two, they're hardened war veterans years after the thing happened, not people that are trying to go back and fix something immediately. It's just we got time, I have this thing, let's do it. And three, they just decide to say, screw it, and just start breaking the time stream continuum and just start settling scores immediately, and none of this whole preserve the timeline bullshit. I love this a lot. It's super entertaining. Harry, Luna, Hermione, and Susan are all really fun characters, and they play off each other as, not only do they play off each other well, but the juxtaposition of the hardened killer personas from the future in their small 11-year-old bodies just creates some great beats of comedy. I love this a lot. Like I said, I love Rorschach's Blot. This is definitely one of his better things. I enjoyed it. Super funny. Check it out. Stays on my list, by the way. Okay, now we go to Ranma. A Ranma 1/2 crossover with X-Men Evolution. And this one's called Void by Matdeception. So the plot here is Ranma is contracted to be a teacher at the Bayville High. Basically, the X-Men hire him as a teacher to beat the crap out of the teenagers so that they don't get big heads. The writing here is mostly set up. Again, it's mostly moving pieces, and it's unfinished, so it's not going there where it would seem to be heading towards more of a comedic direction with a bit of storytelling going, but mostly in a humorous sense. And honestly, because again it's mostly just moving pieces, I would just say it could have been interesting, but I'm gonna give it a pass. But there's two running jokes that I find super funny, and I love it a lot. Both of them are done really well, and they pay off multiple times over the multiple chapters, and I wish it had gone more, but honestly, for me personally, I would come back to this story just to see those jokes again, and I found them super hilarious. I know that's not enough for a lot of people, and again, if like just a couple of jokes is not for you, and you, like I said, plot wise, this does not pay off. It's all moving pieces. There's no actual arcs that are completed here. So if that's not enough for you, that's perfectly understandable. I think the writing itself is okay. It's not, like I said, this aside from those two running jokes that pay off a few times, it's not really something special. But for me, that's more than enough to stay on my list. Now we go to the other monolith on my list, Naruto, with Guardian of Fire by Agni. And again, this is time travel, which is not unique, because not as unique, because again, this one is like the opposite of Reunion, where only Naruto is time traveling. He's doing it in the middle to like basically immediately stop something grave event that's just about to happen. He does go. A little difference is he does go back further than Naruto time travels usually do. Naruto usually ends up at graduation day at the start of the series. This one, he goes back to his birth, and as his normal body, whatever he was at that age. So that's a couple differences. I like the writing in this story. It's pretty captivating and handles the large amount of exposition pretty well. But it's again similar to a bunch of other stories, and similar to Void, where what's here is unfinished and it's mainly just set up. It's all just moving pieces, setting up larger arcs that will like pay off eventually, but because this is not finished, it never actually does. Again, I've said this many times, this one is very much serious. It's not humorous in the main way, so this is again just, it's something that could have been really good, but because it's all just set up and nothing pays off, I'm going to make it fall off my list. Alright. Moving on to another Naruto fic is Konoha Naruto's Playground by MegaB. And this is, retelling, starts with Naruto at like 3 years old. He has a incident where like everybody just beats him, and then after that incident he stops caring about being a ninja or being a Hokage, and he just wants to get some training to protect himself, which the Hokage gives. And because he only gives him a small amount, Naruto just starts flexing his creativity to start using it in many different ways and becomes a super amazing civilian. I like this story a lot. I think the idea is handled well, and what he actually does is super fun and entertaining. How the adventures he gets up with his group of friends is all fun. The serious moments mesh well with the huge amount of comedy that's there, and the fact that it's long but there's short chapters actually makes it more digestible. Because that's a problem where like if chapters get so long, sometimes they just get tedious to read. These chapters are all usually out pretty quick, and I enjoyed it a lot. This is complete, so that's a plus. There is a sequel to this story that wasn't completed, so I mean you could just stop it here, which I think is perfectly fine. I enjoy this a lot. The writing's good, the humor's funny, and the ramifications of Naruto being a civilian are really, really vast. It's gonna stay on my list. Persona 3 again. Hey! So next is Persona 3 Hidden Bloopers by Blue Dragon Fic. And this is basically an omake file for this guy based in the Persona 3 universe only. And while I'm usually an easy mark for this kind of stuff, where it's like really just stupid humor and a lot of like crack, none of these really landed for me. I find them humorous in concept, but I didn't really get a lot of laughs out of this one. So yeah, take that for what you will. I mean, I consider myself pretty easy mark for humor, and this really did not do it for me. So yeah, there's nothing terrible, but it's just uninteresting, and it's gonna fall off my list. Back to Naruto with Naruto Genkyoin by Daniel Rush. So this is basically a so this starts off during the Chunin exams when Naruto, like, it's Jiraiya throws Naruto into the ravine to make him use the Kyuubi's chakra intentionally for the first time and summon the boss toad. He doesn't, but he runs into the Kyuubi, who is not exactly all that she was hyped up to be. I like this story a lot. It is super fun and enjoyable. I don't usually care for OCs, and most of this the majority of the cast and the majority of the people we spend in this story are OCs, but they're all written really, really well, and they all feel like actual characters, not just placeholders or one-dimensional sheets. You know, it's all super entertaining, and I like it a lot. This is like the counterpart to Naruto's Playground, where like these chapters are really, really long, and like the earlier ones are shorter, but as it goes on, some of the chapters get pretty ridiculous in length and become a chore to read. But I still enjoyed this entire story, and I enjoyed all the stupid jokes, stupid characters, and the fun bits that are there. If you like you know, like any bit of like, there's a lot of like slightly perverted humor and stuff going on, so that if that's fun, that's there. Naruto here is not a genius, right? He's a bit of an idiot, and that's always usually that can be played for a lot of laughs. I just enjoyed this story a lot, and it's, again, this one's complete. You should definitely check it out. This is one of my favorite stories that I've read so far from my favorites list again, and yeah, it's gonna stay on my list. Alright, we got two more for you, both Omake files, so let's just go. So the first one is What a Bunch of Nanjan by Nanjan, and it's Nanjan's Omake file, mostly of Harry Potter, and this is also an author who makes a lot of crack and like humor stuff already, which makes it interesting that his Omake file, this thing, or his one-shots file, is basically mostly serious stories, as opposed to the humor that he constantly puts out, and I liked it a lot. There was only one or two chapters where I wasn't like super invested, but those were mostly because I didn't really know the source material. They weren't Harry Potter, and it was like Alex Rider and some other thing that I didn't know, but I was still intrigued, and the other stuff I loved a lot. It's a lot of serious stuff that I find really interesting, and I wish he had busted some of these out into full stories, and they were really great. But yeah, this is gonna stay on my list. And finally, for this video, we have Tales of Oops by Smiling Snake. Now, if this is an Omake file that's a companion piece to another fic that Smiling Snake wrote called Oops, which I talked about a couple videos ago. So all the Omakes are in that fic's universe, so you might miss a bit of context if you haven't read that story. But even without the context, it's still pretty humorous and really funny. A lot of stuff is like actually pretty devoid of the main plot of the story, and I was chuckling throughout the whole thing. I enjoyed it a lot. Would not mind coming back to this again. So yeah, it's staying on my list. And there we have it. 9 stories this week. Links for all the stories are in the description, so if you want to check them out for yourself, please feel free. If you want to, I also do this I have a link to the playlist, so if you want to start this from the beginning again, feel free to do that too. If you like this, leave a like. If you want to see this in a forum thread as well, I have this on Sufficient Velocity, so you can check it out there and read it again, and links to all the stories are there as well. And if you want to get up to date for next time I do this, please subscribe. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.